Brooklyn Independent Television.
Straight ahead on Sector B, the business of Brooklyn. In Dumbo, Loosecubes takes the lead towards a new way of working.
In almost every office, there is one or two desks, or a couch, or a picnic table that is not being used.
How long was it like that before you got it fixed?
3 years.
Checklist Home Services hopes to change the way you deal with all those repairs you never seem to get to.
There are tons of handymen out there, but they don't know how to run businesses.
And in Coney Island, the Wonder Wheel has been giving customers a lift for more than 90 years. What's it like to actually make it go or stop?
The harder you pull on that stick, the faster it'll break.
So, have your tickets out and get with the program.
Hello, I'm Randy Piers. Welcome to Sector B, the business of Brooklyn on Brooklyn Independent Television. If you go to work at the same office or factory or retail space every day, you're commuting. If you use a laptop at your kitchen table, you're working at home. These two options cover most of us, but there's a third approach that's starting to gain headway called co-working, where the emphasis is on using space that's already available. Someone needs a desk, someone else has a desk to offer. Sector B's Caroline Shin went to Dumbo to find out just how flexible the workplace has become.
In almost every office in the world, there is one or two desks, or a couch, or a picnic table that is not being used. This is Loosecubes. Loosecubes is a peer-to-peer workspace sharing community focused on connecting not just people to space, but people to people. It's a very new concept. You know, people aren't sure, like, what will it be like to host a stranger in my office for the day? I don't know. It's the same on the member side. So the value now for a host is really to expand their network, to be meeting different people on a daily basis, potentially new hires, business partners. Then over here, you know, we have a good little meeting space. This is where our developers sit over here. Then our Loosecubers sit right here.
How many Loosecubers do you usually have here, on average?
On average, it's probably like three a day.
I have a bunch of customers that are around the city that have different kind of technical like applications that I'm supporting, and I can code from here. I guess it's one of the kind of benefits of working in the tech industry.
In New York City, in particular, like New York, Brooklyn, and Queens, we've got close to 75 hosts here, and users. It's between like 4,000 and 5,000 members looking for space.
Dumbo Startup Lab is a co-working space that's also an incubator that helps startup companies succeed. So through Loosecubes, we actually let people come in for a couple days a month and just hang out and get to experience it. We definitely help curate the type of people that come in here based on their needs.
We have Loosecubes, actually spaces in between 40 and 50 countries and around 300 cities. So sometimes people are taking a meeting in a tent, for example. It could be in an island in Panama, which is actually a real Loosecube as well.
So he actually wasn't kidding, there really is a tent.
I still work at home 2 to 3 days a week, but just being able to break out a little bit is really important. You know, there's always bills to pay. You know, the house looks a little messy, so maybe I'll clean up. I mean, all those things tend to sort of leech away my productivity a little bit.
Right now, it doesn't cost anything to use the service, to use Loosecubes. We have a combination of free spaces and paid spaces.
I'm kind of like picking and choosing the the locations that I want to be in.
We're lucky enough to have gotten some venture capital funding. And right now, we're taking a 10% cut of any of the paid spaces.
I think Loosecubes is really filling a niche right now in what I think Tina Brown called the gig economy.
There's been a pretty apparent sea change in the way that people think about work.
going to start with Free Co-working Month in June.
Loosecubes was started by our founder and CEO, Campbell McKellar, in June of 2010. But DUMBO definitely started popping up, and this is around when we moved was November 2010. So this is like as DUMBO was really starting to pick it up and a lot of different companies were moving here. It was just a really attractive place for us to go.
I like to be able to look out the window and think a little bit and reflect a little.
An office with a view that you can choose, that's what Loosecubes offers in this growing arena of co-working. Signing off, this is Caroline Shin with Sector B.
It's an election year, so we're going to hear a lot about how both women and minorities may vote for president. But in the business world, they're voting to put themselves in charge by starting and running more firms than ever before. This is true even in sectors like construction, traditionally dominated by men and mostly white men. Here to tell us how New York is trying to level the playing field is Bomi Kim, Director and Vice President for Minority, Women-Owned, and Disadvantaged Business Enterprises at the city's Economic Development Corporation. Bomi, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So, Bomi, tell me, how many certified minority and women-owned businesses are there across the city?
Currently, there are about 3,000 plus firms that are certified as minority and women businesses with New York City Department of Small Business Services. But that's not obviously encompasses all of New York City's minority and women-owned businesses. So New York City Economic Development Corporation, along with New York City SBS, we're working very hard to try to increase those numbers.
And what does it take to qualify as an MWBE?
One, you have to be a minority or woman, and you have to own at least 51% of your business. And for the city, you have to be at least in business for at least 1 year.
For 1 year?
Yes.
Do you have to have a track record at all?
No. So basically, you need to show that you have been operating your business for at least 1 year. They do look at your finances to see that you're an actual business and that you are actually running, but they're not looking for people who've made lots of money or a lot of profits. Especially for a lot of businesses, this is a small business, so it may take a few years for people to start really making profit. So we're not really looking for that at this stage to get certified.
And you could be certified regardless of whatever sector you're in?
Definitely you can, but I'm not sure of the success rate. The certification really helps when you're going after public contracts. So chances of you as let's say a convenience store owner being successful in the public sector and being an MWB may not really be helpful because the government may not be buying products or services from you. So it's really important to know what they're buying.
So of the sectors that where it does count more so to speak, which sectors tend to focus on women and minority?
Obviously, construction is a huge industry, but there's also a lot of professional services that we look for, as well as supplies, because there are some agencies that buy lots of supplies. So it's good to be selling even office supplies or construction supplies, definitely. But architects and engineers on the professional side, as well as consultants doing, you could be graphic artists, or you're providing some sort of management and operational sort of consulting. But construction really is the biggest, just because it's a lot of money that the city and the state and even the federal government spends.
Invests in those sectors.
Right.
Okay, so tell us, what is EDC doing to sort of encourage more businesses to get certified, and what programs do you have in place to help these businesses?
So New York City Economic Development Corporation works very closely with New York City Department of Small Business Services, SBS, to assist business to get certified. So we do a lot of referral work back and forth between EDC and SBS. So that's one way in terms of encouraging certification. But specifically what New York City Economic Development Corporation is doing is that we have recently just launched 2 new programs that are aimed specifically at the construction industry, because we EDC does do a lot of construction, and we really felt there was a gap in terms of some of the assistance that they were getting. So we launched a program called Blueprint to Success, which is a contractor development program for construction firms. And it's a combination of classroom training as well as one-on-one assistance. So for instance, if you're part of the program and you want to say, I want to go after a bid with a public agency, and you need some guidance, or maybe somebody who just look over your numbers to make sure that your bids are making sense, that you're addressing all the questions that the bid document's asking for, you could go to our consultants and get that kind of individualized assistance. So currently we have about 18 firms that are part of our program. 3 firms are from right here from Brooklyn. One of the firms is Troop Electric, which is, I think they're very close to, actually here in the studio. So we're very excited to have them be part of our program. And hopefully the assistance they gain will help them expand their business and grow. So that's one program. And another program that we've noticed out in the sector is that cash flow is a real problem for a lot of our businesses, especially in construction, because getting a loan for construction firm is very difficult to begin with, and especially now in current credit sort of market. So we have launched a program called Kickstart Loans, and that program is aimed at our construction firms that are working on EDC's projects. And we work with Bot Capital, which is right here in Brooklyn as well.
That's the Business Outreach Center network.
Right? Yeah. So Bot Capital is our lender who's working with us to help our contractors get money up front so they could buy supplies, pay their employees, while they're waiting to get paid from public agencies like us, because there's always a lack of time between the time that you're doing work until that you get paid. So you could have done work, but it would take you 60 days, 90 days to get paid. In the meantime, you still need to pay your suppliers, you need to pay your employees, and this money is really going to help them meet that cash flow issue.
Yeah, very important, particularly in these credit markets.
Right.
And how many businesses do you have participating in that program?
We just launched that program, so we currently don't have any borrowers yet, but we do have some that are in pipeline that are going through the underwriting process.
So what does a business have to do to sort of get involved with that business?
Well, first of all, it's a very limited sort of pool of contractors who could be part of that program, just because they have to be working on EDC's contract, either as a prime contractor or as a subcontractor.
So they already have to be locked in as a
contractor. They have to, even if they're in process of maybe going after a project. Because the way the repayment happens is the EDC is going to make a direct repayment to Bach Capital to make sure the repayment happens. In some ways, they're using this contract that they have EDC as a collateral with Bach Capital to get the money.
And I could see how the 2 programs, Blueprint for Success and the Kickstart Loan Program, kind of work in tandem.
Right. So hopefully the idea is that the people who are graduating out of Blueprint to Success are getting the skills that they need to really expand their business, and that they're winning contracts with EDC, and they'll be able to access the mobilization capital through Kickstart loans that they need.
One quick question. It doesn't matter whether they're a subcontractor or a prime contractor?
No.
And do you help subcontractors become prime contractors?
We definitely encourage all of our subcontractors to go after big projects. But one of the things you want to definitely do is not rush the business, because one of the, I think, the reasons that a lot of MWBEs fail in the construction industry is because sometimes they take on jobs that are too big for them. But we definitely do encourage, but I think that's one of the things that Blueprint to Success is going to try to help address, is for you to really assess your business and understand when it's the right time to go after the big projects. And how to line up to make sure that you have all the backup capital that you need to go after those big projects.
And if a business wants to become certified, they could do that through SBS's website?
Yes, they could definitely go through SBS's website, which is www.nyc.gov/getcertified. But they could also call me directly at EDC, and I could also help them with that process as well.
Well, thank you, Bomi. It's been a pleasure talking with you. This is great information. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Great. We may be starting to see more women running things in the building trades, but on the micro side, just fixing things around the house, most of us still think in terms of calling a handy man. In Brooklyn, however, we found a woman who, while she may not be the one with the pipe wrench or hammer in hand, is clearly the one in charge of the to-do list.
All right. All right, good. She's got a pretty substantial list here. So the top priorities are the bathroom door needs to be totally replaced. It's sticking, so rather than try to repair it, she just wants that replaced. And then the floor. So the floorboards over here are, when you step on it, you'll see, but they're all really loose. I think there's water damage underneath, so you're probably going to have to pull them up and see if the subfloor is intact or not.
Okay.
The third highest priority is screens. So she needs screens on all 5 of her windows, and we need to make sure that we match up the frame with the brown frame on the window.
Okay.
Checklist Home Services is a handy person services company in Brooklyn, and we focus on all of the kind of lighter home improvement, repair and maintenance tasks that need to be done in a home, but typically never get done. So recaulking, I think you should do that. That's not going to take too long. The grout cleaning as well. Most of what we do, we say they're like honey-do list items. So if you have a honey in your house and you have a list and you give that to your honey on the weekend and say, honey, do this, honey, do that, that's what we focus on. So, I mean, hopefully this will be a day, but just keep me in the loop throughout the day, and, you know, I'll let her know if you'll be done.
Sure,
So,
no problem.
One may wonder why a, you know, Midwesterner with a background in Russian literature and an MBA in marketing would, of all things, start a handy person company. And for me, it really was, I saw a very critical need in the marketplace that was not being met. So in my own experience, I became a homeowner 5 years ago. I had so many things to be done in my house, major improvements, minor improvements, repairs. But what I realized was it was hard to find a very reliable contractor, someone who could be really trustworthy, was detail-oriented, you know, had really broad skills, and really just frankly someone who had good communication skills, good customer service skills. And that's really the world that I come from as a marketer. It's all about the overall customer experience. It's not just about what that product is you sell to someone, but how you sell it to them. We do a check through at the beginning of every job and then at the end. So this is really to go through the things that we've done and to make sure that you're happy with everything, and if you have any feedback that, you know, things you want done differently, this is your opportunity to bring it up.
Okay.
So starting out with the door here, as you know, this is a new door.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Guillermo, what did you have to do? You had to, like, did you have to trim it at all?
Trim on the bottom, on the side, and we just painted the colors you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
The sun lock on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, our old door, it was hung weird and it was scraping along the bottom, so the whole bottom of the door was all broken. And this is beautiful and clean, and now it closes, and I don't have to fight the door. I was fighting that door every day going into the bathroom.
How long was it like that before you got it fixed?
3 years.
Yeah.
And it just got worse and worse, and every day you look at it and you're like, oh, it's getting worse. We should do something. So this is really exciting.
Okay,
it's a little
glad.
thing, but it's really exciting.
Yeah.
I saw a flyer for Checklist Home Services about probably a few months ago, and I thought, well, what a great idea for a business, but I didn't think it was right for me, that I didn't have a lot of things going on in my apartment that needed fixing. But then once I started thinking about it, I was like, oh wait, what about that floor, and the grout's coming out of the shower, and all these little things started to, that have been around for a long time, for years, just started to bug me more and more. Then I went to the website, and you just click on all these things that you need in your house. I could add in a few things that were specific to my apartment and then send it off, and I got a call the next day saying, well, when can we make an appointment to come in and fix everything? And all of a sudden something that represented 10 hours of work was just distilled down to like a few clicks and a phone call. It's all perfectly solid, we can jump on it, and the trampoline is gone.
Yeah. It's good. One of the biggest challenges is that I am making a transition right now from being, you know, a corporate marketer in a very large organization to being a small business owner, where currently I wear multiple hats. Another challenge is just, you know, being a woman in a very male-dominated industry. It works in my favor in customer interactions because primarily my clients are women who, like me, you know, they have careers and they have kids and they need help with things around their house. So I think we finished everything on your honey-do list. Yeah. But being a woman in a male-dominated industry means, you know, when I'm hiring handymen for my crew, they probably understandably come in with a little bit of skepticism. But I'm learning as I go, and that is that really what I bring to the table is what's currently missing from the table right now, which is there are tons of handymen out there, but they don't know how to run businesses. They don't know how to market. Well, good. Well, Shayna, I will, unless they hear otherwise, Guillermo will be there on Tuesday at 9. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Normally, if you run a business where your customers do a lot of screaming, you're probably in trouble, but maybe not in Coney Island. Here's a day in the life of the man who runs the Wonder Wheel.
My family's been in Coney Island since before me and my father were born. My grandfather started in Coney Island when he was young, and slowly he kept buying up different things until we were lucky enough to purchase the Wonder Wheel in 1983, 84. And my family's owned the Wonder Wheel ever since. The Wonder Wheel was built from 1918 to 1920. It opened Memorial Day 1920. The Wonder Wheel is definitely known for the swinging cars. It's not your typical Ferris wheel. We don't like to call it a Ferris wheel. It's more of a roller coaster hybrid Ferris wheel. The Wonder Wheel weighs 200 tons and is 150 feet tall. I've been coming here since I was a little kid. We used to cut school and, you know, come here and paint. But like seriously working, doing the mechanical stuff since I've been 18 years old, so about 12 years. Thank you, girls. That way out, okay? Thank you. All yours. My family has one of the amusement parks here in Coney Island. So we own 17 kiddie rides, we own the Wonder Wheel, and 3 other adult rides. Number 1 swings a lot. Some days I operate the Wonder Wheel, some days I operate one of the other adult rides, and a lot of times I'm just doing maintenance on our kiddie rides. Days that I run the Wonder Wheel, we come in, we have it all tied up at night, just in case it's windy one night or anything like that, so we have to untie it. Then we go through a maintenance inspection, and then we start her up, start selling tickets, and we let the first person on at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Right now, the Wonder Wheel is $6, same as it was back in the 1990s. We're trying to keep it down as long as we can, just because times are tough. That way out, guys. Business has started off slowly. There's a lot more for people to do, but I think once word is out that Coney Island is back, the crowds will return and Coney Island will be better than ever. Come on in, guys. Every once in a while we get an older couple who come, and sometimes they say, you know, our first date was on the Wonder Wheel 50 years ago, and it's just good to see people like that coming back. One more time. Only because I can't figure out how to stop it. The Wonder Wheel is funny as far as operating because it's old school. I mean, there's an old school handbrake there, and it just has like a disc that goes over one of the pads, and that's how you brake it, with your own strength. So the strength of your arm is what actually brakes it. There's no like mechanical computer or anything. It's just the harder you pull on that stick, the faster it'll brake. See what I'm saying? If you notice that not too many people come on the Wonder Wheel because you have to balance it a certain way, and you have to listen to the motor and pay attention to how fast it's going so you know when to stop it and when to apply the brake. So there's only like 3 or 4 people in the world who know how to run it. The one thing about the Wonder Wheel is there have been minimal changes. It's in just as good condition as the day it opened in 1920. Back in those days, the Wonder Wheel used to have lights in the corners of the cars. But as soon as my family took over, a year or 2 later, they took those lights down. Fast forward till today, and we looked at the Wonder Wheel, we said, you know what, it'd be really great to have that old iconic look, the way the Wonder Wheel used to be. So we're like, let's try and bring that back. The only thing is we're bringing it back this year with solar power, which is cleaner, safer, and just an all-around good idea for today's world. Well, this whole solar panel lighting project is just the first step. As far as my goals are concerned, I'd like to see the whole Wonder Wheel powered with solar panels. I love Coney Island, so it would be great if I can spend my life here and running the Wonder Wheel. But we'll see. You know, the future is a long ways away. But as for right now, I love being here, and I'm happy to be here.
That's it this month from Sector B. If you want to check out any of the companies or programs we have just featured, their phone numbers and links are about to roll across your screen. To see past episodes of the show, go to our website at brickartsmedia.org/BIT and then click on Sector B. And you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter on BK Independent TV. I'm Randy Piers. Thanks for watching.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at brickartsmedia.org/BIT.